Hallo en welkom by nog 'n episode van BlitsFokus. My naam is Iréne-Mari van Walt en ek gesels in hierdie week se episode van BlitsFokus met 'n jong Namibiese sangeres, Janice van Rooy, wat ook nou hoop om haar weg te vind in Duitsland. In die kultuurkamer vir hierdie week gaan kyk ons bietjie na die rugby aksie van die afgelope naweek. So moet nêrens heen gaan nie, want ons is nou weer terug.
Kaap vol hoop vertel stories van die Kaap en sy mense en uit die stories en ervarings deel ons mooi en unieke plekke om te sien en te ervaar. Kaap vol hoop gaan waar die Kaapenaars gaan en gaan kuier waar die Kaapenaars kuier. Van die strande tot die wynlande en die sportvelde tot die restaurante. Ons kuier dalk sommer ook in iemand se kombuis vir daai familieresep van ouma. Ons eet die Kaapse tradisionele kosse en drink van sy beste wyne. Kaap vol hoop gesels met die gewone Kaapenaar en soms ook met die meer bekendes, maar week vir week vertel ons elkeen sy eie unieke storie op sy unieke manier. Kaap vol hoop kyk ook uit vir die Namibiërs in die Kaap. Sommige kom kuier net en sommige maak die Kaap hulle nuwe tuiste. Namibiërs in die Kaap gesels saam met Kaap vol hoop en deel self die mooi, die uniek en lekker wat op hul pad kom. In alles is Kaap vol hoop 'n program wat die mooi en die lag na vore wil bring en 'n program waar ons mekaar kan opbou en leer. Daar is hoop. Daar is 'n Kaap vol hoop.
So saam met my in ons nuusgesprek vandag is weer eens Michelline Nawatises. Ek weet julle het die mooi glimlag gemis van laasweek, so ek het alweer teruggebring vir nog een keer, nog 'n laaste keer. So Michelline, in hierdie uitgawe van The Zone op die voorblad gesels jy 'n bietjie oor 'n loopbaanskou. Kan jy vir ons 'n bietjie meer daaroor vertel? Ek sien jy het die berig geskryf.
Okay, ja, so July 97, akademie het 'n loopbaan
Skou.
ja, loopbaanskou gehad oor ek dink 'n week gelede. So wat hulle basies gedoen het of wat die plan was dat hulle die kindertjies, maak nie saak of jy nou in laerskool is of in hoërskool is, want tyd was met break. So ek dink dit was 'n goeie inisiatief wat hulle gedoen het en hulle het ook tyd gebruik dat hulle meer kinders kan bymekaar, want dit was met break en hulle het meer tyd gehad op hulle hande. So wat hulle gedoen het, hulle het vir die kinders gesê hulle moet nou hulle se carrière wat hulle seker wil hulle 'n lawyer gaan raak of 'n polisievrou of wat ook al 'n juffrou of vir just for instance wil raak, het hulle nou in hierdie foto's sal jy ook sien, paar van hulle het hulle se sokkerklere aangehad, paar van hulle het hulle se labcoats aangehad en daar was ook verskeie carrière mense wat klaar in daai carrière is wat gekom het, daar 'n accountant gekom van Deloitte en daar het daar was ook self onderwysers en daar was ook 'n legal practitioner, so hulle het regtig net raad gesoek en wat hulle moet doen as hulle wil daai carrière wil volg, wat presies hulle moet doen en hoe hulle al op hulle self kan werk om dit te bereik.
Fantasties. Ek moet vir jou vra, Michelline.
Ja.
As jy nou in 'n loopbaanskou 'n praatjie moes gee oor journalistiek, wat was die eerste ding? Wat sou die eerste ding wees wat jy vir daai kinders
doen nie? Ek grap. Maar ja, ek sou hulle net gesê het, hulle moet regtig, as jy nie passievol is, if you don't have passion for anything, moet dit nie doen nie. Is nie oor die geld nie, dis nie oor die omstandighede of die omgewing waar jy gaan in wees nie, maar as jy nie passief het, moet dit nie doen nie, want jy gaan jou tyd mors.
Ja, absoluut. Okay, fantasties. En dan gaan ons oor na bladsy 2 waar ons 'n nast storie het.
Yes.
Daar. Iets van 3000 studente. Wat het met die 3000 studente gebeur? Hulle het graad gekry.
Yes, hulle het
Fantasties.
die tweede keer, né, in die jaar.
Okay.
So die eerste, ek dink die sessie was in April en die is nou die tweede ronde.
Fantasties. Goed om te sien ons kry se van mense wat gekwalifiseerd is in
net
Namibië.
werk.
Ons moet net ophou klaar. Ons moet ophou klaar dat ons nie mense in Namibië het om goed te doen nie. Okay, fantasties. En dan in die Voxpop gesels ons bietjie oor wat mense oor die midterm break gedoen het.
Yes, daar was leerlinge van Windhoek Technical High School en wat 'n akademie is, so hulle het basies net die meeste van hulle het gesê hulle gaan op hulle skoolwerk werk aan 'n paar projekte wat agteruit is, so ja.
Fantasties. As jy nou midterm break gekry het, wat sou jy gedoen het?
Ek sou geslaap het. Ek sou geslaap en Netflix het.
Maar miskien daai laaste dag sou ek 'n boek gelees sodat ek myself kon flous en sê ek was produktief gewees.
Net vir jou net self.
Ja, net sodat ek dan weer daai maandag by die werk instap en vir mense sê ek het gelees. En dan in ons foto van die week gaan kyk ons bietjie na die Napsonites Kuns- en Kultuurfees wat by Privaatskool Maria op Oudtshoorn aangebied is. Dit is dan saam met die Napso Spar Build Cricketfees. Dit was in verlede week se kultuurkamer ook gewees. Ja, ek dink dit is baie goed om te sien dat ons kuns en kultuur lewendig hou in ons skole, veral in 'n era waar ons sien dat jong mense beweeg na kreatiewe werke toe en kreatiewe beroepe toe. Dink ek
is
is
ook dit vir hulle uitgemaak word, net soos enige iets so sport en want ons is baie groot op sport, so dit is goed om te sien dit word ook gecurate net vir hulle om dit ook laat hulle ook kan shine tog.
Ja, dat hulle almal 'n platform het dat almal se talente gesien word.
Ja.
Dat ons nou nie vir visse vra om bome te klim nie. En dan in ons Star Teacher of the Week het ons 'n baie gelukkige paartjie hierso. Dit is Lilet Mouton. Sy is 'n graad 8 en graad 10 wiskunde onderwyser en sy gee ook graad 12 wiskunde geletterdheid. Sien ek daar. Okay. En dan hier onder op bladsy 3 het jy ook die storie geskryf en dit gaan oorlees in ons skoolkurrikulums.
Yes, so dit is basically inspiring learners to celebrate the 2020 Readathon Week under the theme Read Namibia, understand the impacts of climate change on key economic sectors and livelihoods in Namibia. So wat die ministerie wil altyd probeer doen is in die maand van September bring hulle 'n paar kinders bymekaar laat hulle net aktiwiteite doen en ook op rekenaars sit en kan lees van ons is nou big on digital en dan het hulle ook kompetisies waar hulle kan lees, sê maar wie lees die vinnigste of wie kan so hulle het net verskeie aktiwiteite wat hulle daai dag doen en hulle launch dit net nie hier in hierdie streek nie. Hulle begin dit hier en dan spread dit soos wêreldwyd in die ander streke.
Okay, fantasties. Ek moet sê dis lekker om te sien dat ons jong mense probeer leer om te lees. Ek meen, ek dink veral in 'n land soos Namibië waar ons hierdie verskriklike groot laerklas het op voetsoolvlak, dink ek maak lees 'n baie groot verskil vir kinders wat kennis wil kry en wat hulle kennis wil verbreed en oor meer dinge wil leer, maar nie toegang het soos ander leerlinge byvoorbeeld tot wifi by die huis, soos ek het nie goed om op te swat nie. En dan bladsy 4 het ons 'n spesiale gebaar hierso deur te zone. Pionierspark Primêr se span word hier op bladsy 4 vir ons baie mooi uitgestal, gewys wie is die manne wat die Namibiese Skoolsportunie se Superliga huis toe gevat het op die einde van die dag. Maar dit is dan nou hierdie week se uitgawe van The Zone. As jy meer wil lees of jy wil bietjie meer in diepte gaan kyk na die stories, besoek gerus zone.my.na. Dit is zone.my.na en gaan kry hierdie uitgawe van The Zone onder digitale uitgawes.
Bookings for Namibia Tourism Expo 2022 are open. The expo will take place from 3 to 5 November 2022 in Windhoek. To secure your booking, visit nte.nmh.com.na. And for more information on the expo, follow all Namibia Media Holdings platforms. The expo is supported by the Ministry of Environment, Tourism and Forestry, Namibia Tourism Board, FENATA, City of Windhoek, and Namibia Media Holdings. Namibia Tourism Expo, taking tourism to the regions.
So saam met ons op BlitsFokus is Janice van Rooy. Sy is 'n operasangeres wat ongelukkig nie te gemaklik is in Afrikaans nie. So ons gaan 'n bietjie oorslaan Engels toe. Janice, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. So Janice, you are an opera singer and opera has taken you pretty much everywhere. You have performed in Germany, you have received training in Portugal, you have studied under the foremost musicians in Namibia as well, classical musicians now. Where did that all start? Where did that come from?
I've always loved music and singing from a very young age, and then I went on to joining a choir, which you know of, Muscatu Youth Choir, and there was this one time when there were two ladies from, I think, Austria or Germany, or both.
Somewhere there.
Somewhere there. And they had a benefit concert with Moscato Youth Choir, and then they sang some very well-known pieces there. And I heard them for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So the thing is, I knew that I always wanted to sing, but hearing them live, you know, it just showed me another world of what I could also do. Because at the time I was only familiar with choral singing and anything involving choir. So hearing them, it just inspired me to do more. And then after that, I sought guidance, or like vocal training rather, with my teacher at the time, Gretel Kutsia. And so I would move between Swakopmund and Windhoek to go to classes with her. And yeah, it just started with her, and then I went on to studying it at the University of Cape Town. And now I'm planning on moving to Germany to continue studying it in Germany.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So, Janice, we recently had the very first Namibian opera, which was not necessarily the very first Namibian production of an opera, but it was a Namibian story told in the format
Namibian
of opera.
written.
Yes.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? You know, coming from, I understand that you were quite an outcast and an outsider due to your love of opera and classical music when you were younger.
Yeah.
But seeing things like these happening here in Namibia, how does that make you feel?
I felt so proud. I felt like us as a nation, Namibia, we are moving somewhere like closer to what other countries have at the moment. For me, it has always been a challenge getting the resources and the training that I needed as a young singer or any young musician trying to pursue a career in classical music in general. So I just felt so proud and happy. Like my heart was so warm. I sat there and I was just in awe. I was like, wow, this is really happening, because we don't actually even have an actual opera house. The only thing close to an opera house we have is the NTN, and hopefully in future we will also have an opera house and then do it the proper way. But I'm so glad and happy that it happened, and it just shows promise that we can still do more and opera would be alive in Namibia.
Yeah. So, sort of looking back on a younger version of Janice, that Janice who first saw these Austrian/German opera singers performing these pieces, deciding that this was what you would like to do. If you had to look at the path that you've walked and traveled as a singer, as an opera singer, and the challenges that you faced, what do you think are the biggest challenges that face the arts industry, and specifically classical music and opera in Namibia?
I really, at this point, think mostly it's the support from the community, and also the financial support, because as singers or as musicians, we need a lot of things. You know, a lot of things need to come into place. We need a lot of funding to get to where we need to. There are countless auditions in our lives, journey, in our path. I don't know how to say it, but there are so many things that a young musician needs, and of course that is also financial help and the support of the community, just someone believing and not dismissing someone because they want to do music. Because while knowing our Namibian parents, they don't really think a career in music is worthwhile or worth pursuing, or it's like an actual like it's an actual career. So just if someone has passion for something, just let them do it, you know. Don't break them down. Don't I feel like we just need a lot of support and someone to push us and say, we believe in you, you go for your dream, you know.
Okay, so sort of looking at where arts and opera and classical music are currently in Namibia, what do you think is next for us? What do you think are the next steps we need to take to establish an opera scene, if you will?
I think we need better venues, to be really honest. I'm sorry, but
NTN, you're trying. We love you.
Yeah, a lot. We love you, but
no hate,
a
no
lot
shame.
of the concerts I've actually even had in Namibia were all in churches. I mean, churches are great. It's wonderful, but for the type of singing and the sound produced and what's needed. The acoustics in a church is not great at all. So, and also to just accommodate everything required. So now if you had to stage a full-length opera like any old opera like a Mozart or Rossini or Puccini, anything that requires like the full thing, like a full orchestra, the set, the staging, everything, the costumes, we don't have a lot of that, we don't have places that could accommodate stuff like that. So we need better venues, like I've mentioned, and of course the funding again to make these possible, because productions like these need a lot of people, it needs a lot of hands, and all these people need to be paid, of course, and so do the singers and the musicians in the orchestra, and a lot goes into it. So a lot of things need to happen.
But first and foremost, we need a venue with
good
acoustics.
We need better, hopefully in the near future, an opera house.
Proper like Phantom of the Opera style. You can see it with the gold embellishments, minus the apparition in the opera house, but proper Phantom of the Opera style.
A proper theatre, to be honest.
Okay, so Janice, we have a tradition here. We ask singers what their favorite songs are. We ask comedians what their favorite jokes are. We ask writers what their favorite books are. Is there an opera singer or anybody in the opera world who you look up to?
Yes, there are so many, because for me, since a very young age, I couldn't decide what my favorite thing was. Like, you would know, I'm a very indecisive person, but when it comes to music and singing in general and pinpointing like your most favorite thing, I don't know, it's not possible, because there are so many things, and so many people, you draw a lot of inspiration from different people in different things they do, especially in singing, you would draw inspiration from Maria Callas for how emotionally present and just amazing she is at what she does. I would draw inspiration from Montserrat Caballé for her beautiful pianissimos. It's a lot of things, so it is very difficult for me to choose just one. I'm sorry. But
no, that's fine. We get that a lot,
Yeah, okay. I'm glad to hear that.
So you're not the only genius who's into science. And then Janice, lastly, before we let you go, this person watching right now who is telling themselves, like a lot of us have done before, that I would really love to do opera, I'm so incredibly fascinated by it, but I can't sing, or I can't sing opera. I can sing pop, I can, Olivia Rodrigo in the shower, but I can't sing opera. Where do you start?
I think the very first thing would be to try and find a teacher wherever you are depends on where you are actually. In Namibia, we don't have a lot, unfortunately, but maybe, say you're in Windhoek, just try to find training. Even if it's not a voice teacher, maybe start with piano or music theory, just to help, because all these things build or shape a musician. There's so many things are involved, in singing. It's not just singing. And of course, when the time is right, seek the vocal guidance that you need and someone that will just help you. And I would say listen to a lot of operas and pieces, arias. Listen to it and just hear, because I know a lot of very famous singers started singing from just listening to random pieces of arias they heard somewhere or in church or wherever. So just listen to it, familiarize yourself with what it is, and try to understand it, because once that is there, or once that is set, the next thing then is to seek more formal and higher training, if you would.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Dit is een van Namibië se jongste talente, operasangeres Janice van Rooy.
Republikeinse kuns- en vermaaklikheidspublikasie Kolig verskyn 1 keer 'n maand in druk en aanlyn. Moet dit nie dan misloop nie. Lees in hierdie publikasie die nuutste oor plaaslike en internasionale kuns, literatuur en persoonlikhede in die bedryf en oor wat op die vermaaklikheidsfront is om jouself en jou familie mee besig te hou.
Saterdag en ons weet Sondag ook is gewoonlik uitsluitlik vir rugby. So in hierdie week se Kultuurkamer gaan kyk ons 'n bietjie na die afgelope naweek se rugby aksie hier in die hoofstad van Windhoek.
Franchise 10's rugby, and now it was time for the big final. Team Windhoek Draft versus DStv. Yukon Mobile having secured the plate final. It was time for Team Windhoek Draft and DStv to decide the winner of the Windhoek Draft Franchise 10's rugby live at Hijangua Stadium on NTV. Let's have a look at how the game transpired. Team Windhoek Draft early on doing their best to assert themselves. And boy, oh boy, did they did. Andre van der Berg with the ball, swinging it to the far left end. They should have kept their hands on him. They didn't manage to, and he punished them for it. As Team Windhoek Draft went across the line for a try, Andre van der Berg. This is a man who has no problem with the boot. None whatsoever. As he went on to add the 2 necessary points. This was one of those defensive plays which kept DStv in the game. DStv had a beautiful, beautiful breakaway sprint at this time. Swinging it out to the right. DStv. Little confusion in the center. Captain Vickers Jacobs adding to the confusion, but this time in DStv's favor as they kept Team Windhoek Draft on the defensive back foot. Side step in, side step out. Try time for DStv. DStv, of course, making sure to bring the game to Windhoek Draft. These two teams were at the top of the log before the end of the Franchise 10's rugby. What a wonderful, wonderful run. Dragon Honda for DStv. Potent try scorer, the kind of player you always want to keep an eye on. As is evidenced with this play, which started once again from his efforts. However, this time DStv was penalized. Yambuchua with the quick tap, swinging it out for Team Windhoek Draft. They identify the overlap, and it goes to Hartung, who makes sure the ball goes across the line as Team Windhoek Draft maintained the lead in this game. For most of it, there was a time they didn't have the lead, but it was not for long enough to deter them. Yet another beautiful run from Team Windhoek Draft. Bekus losing the other player there. A little bit of a theatric try. That's what you do when you play the sport you love for a living. Yambushua swinging the ball out for Team Windhoek Draft. Good line play from Team Windhoek Draft. Quick pop from Andre van der Berg. And as it reached the wing, you'd think that this was the end of the play. No, number 17 is at it again for yet another Team Windhoek Draft try. DStv not wanting to be counted out at all, wanting to stake their claim in this game. And this was how they attempted to do so, keeping the ball in play until it reached the safe destination across the try line. DStv clawing back. It was a tough game for them, tough game for both teams, tightly contested. However, Team Windhoek Draft kept popping their bubble this time with a late try. Quick tap from DStv. Captain Vickers Jacobs swinging the ball in and then out. And this time, it was his pace that got DStv going. He did this more than 4 times in this tournament. He actually scored the 100th try in the Franchise 10's tournament. However, as we look at the full-time score, your champions, Team Windhoek Draft 46, DStv Namibia 42, just 4 points behind. But the ball goes where it ought to go, and this time it was Team Windhoek Draft getting the best of them. Franchise 10's Cup Final live on NTV, brought to you by Windhoek Draft. Let's have a look at the interviews.
Okay, reporting to you live from Hijangua Stadium, where we just had our finals. DStv take on Windhoek Draft, joined by Vickers, who scored multiple tries. As ek moet vra, hoeveel tries denk jy het jy in die toernooi?
Ag, ek weet nie eintlik nie, maar eintlik al credit aan my span. Hulle laat dit toe dat ek so 'n paar druk.
En algemeen ek sien jy water is so vol, water nat. Hoe was die wedstryd saam met julle hitte?
Dit was taaf geweest. Jy is baie fatigue. Son het ons bietjie seer gemaak die eerste game en hierdie game. Maar nie verskoning sê Windhoek Draft was die beter span op die toernooi geweest en laat hulle al die eer aan hulle dat hulle gewen het.
Goeie toernooi geweest. Mense het opgedag. Sê gou vir my, hoe belangrik is dit om sulke toernooie altyd te hê?
Definitief, ek dink vir die groei van Namibiese rugby is hierdie baie belangrik. Na hierdie toernooi kan ons baie meer sê upcoming players. Jy weet nou ewe skielik wie's ouetjie wat nooit gefeature het in die Hoë League, kom hier deur en kom maak vir 'n groot naam.
Nee, Okay, thank you guys.
Dankie.
Well, he scored multiple tries himself. Well, now we are joined by the captain of Windhoek Draft. They just won the game, won the finals. Zeg of me, hoe voel ons?
Moeg, maar baie trots. Kan nie vir 'n beter resultaat vra nie.
Okay, son het bietjie gebrand. Game was bietjie tyd in die begin. Wat dink jy die span opgedag en reg gedoen?
Ek dink halftyd die coaches belangrike woorde vir ons kon gee en die reserves wat opgekom het 'n groot verskil gemaak en dit is kom hulle daar is. Soos jy sê, sonnetjie is warm. Is rugby is 'n wintersport, nie 'n somersport nie. Daar's 'n rede.
Okay, zeg vir my, World Cup is volgende jaar. Hoe belangrijk is dit om sulke toernooie altyd te hê om voor te berei vir dit?
Ek dink is baie belangrik, bring bietjie local talent uit. Ek dink jy sien 'n paar goed wat jy nie in die seisoen kon gesien het nie. World Cup's nog ver, is presies 'n jaar, so is dit nog einde van die jaar 'n toer. So ons fokus op hom, maar hoe meer games ons kan speel, hoe beter.
Okay, nee, dankie. Well, you heard it from the man himself. Preparations, beautiful game, beautiful rugby. Windhoek Draft win the franchise 10. That is, well, stay tuned. That was all we have for you today. We still have highlights and a lot of stuff coming your way. Do stay tuned.
MyZone aims to mold a creative generation with a sound understanding of the power that comes with knowing. MyZone covers 58 schools with over 400 learners for the school newspaper project. 52,000 average monthly social media posts, engagements, and reaching over 100,000 high school learners through the printed school newspaper. Catch the Zone, a weekly publication which covers youth and tertiary news published in the Namibian Sun, Republican, and Algemeine Zeitung every Tuesday.
En daarmee kom ons nou aan die einde van nog 'n episode van BlitsFokus. Dit was fantasties om julle in ons geselskap te hê. Onthou dat julle BlitsFokus elke woensdagmiddag om 2:00 op Republikeinse sosiale media platforms kan sien, as ook om 5:00 die middag op NTV. Dit is DStv kanaal 285 en GoTV kanaal 94. So tot volgende week, bly nuuskierig.